I once had to go to New York City. Yeah, you have heard of New York. It's a 3.5 to 4 day journey from Philadelphia. And it was August. August in Philadelphia is hot. August in Philadelphia is humid. And I was not looking forward to this journey. 3.5 to 4 days sitting alone in a carriage in the heat and humidity of August was not a pleasant thought. But fortunately it was a large coach, and 3 gentlemen joined me in that coach. We started out for New York. We had not gone very far when it became quite apparent that one of those 3 gentlemen had absolutely no acquaintance with soap. So I exited the carriage at the next stop. I did not go to New York in the heat and humidity of August. Fall, of course, is a wonderful time to travel. It's not too hot, not too cold, and the scenery can be beautiful, but it was so busy in Philadelphia. I never made the journey. And then came the winter. That, my friends, in the northeast of this country is the worst time to travel. Not only do you have to contend with the sleet and the snow and the ice, but the roads freeze. Now when the roads freeze, the ruts freeze into the roads. You are sitting on a hard wooden bench. The carriage is bouncing this way, that way, that way. Before long, every bone in your body feels broken, and every muscle is sore and aching, and you are frozen. Because of course there is no heat in the carriage. So what is the answer, my friends? The answer is to have a good driver. You see, if you have a good driver, they know the best inns to stop in. Which ones are safe, and not all of them are. Which ones are clean, and those are few and far between, and which ones have good food, and they are very difficult to find. But fortunately, I had a very good driver on that particular day. He came to me in the morning and he said, "Sir, there's an inn between here and New York that has the finest food of any inn I've ever stopped in, with one exception, of course." Now I knew the exception, because it is in Philadelphia. It is the city tavern, the very inn you're sitting in today, proclaimed by no less a figure than John Adams of Massachusetts himself as the most genteel tavern in America. And I said, well, if this tavern is nearly as good as the city tavern at 2nd and Walnut in Philadelphia, I should like to stop. He said, well, there's a small problem. It is about an hour longer journey than we usually go in a day. I said, oh, I would not mind that at all. But of course, that was in the morning. Now, by 7 in the evening, I was frozen solid. Every part of my body was sore and aching. And all I wanted to do was sit by the fire, thaw out, relax. We had at least another hour to go. But being a man of my word, on we continued. Finally, he said to me, "You see that glow in the distance? That is the inn." And I was so pleased. Soon I would be warm by the fire. We arrived at the inn. He took care of the horse, and I went into the inn. I looked over by the fire, and there were no seats. And then I looked around the inn. There was not a single seat in that entire inn. So I called the innkeeper. I said, "Innkeeper, isn't there a place for a traveler to rest his weary bones?" And the innkeeper said, "Well, perhaps you've noticed we're busy, sir." I had. "If someone leaves," he said, "I'll see what I can do." I said, "Very well, sir. But in the meantime, do you happen to have any oysters?" Now, of course, I knew he was going to have oysters because the rivers up there near New York have deep trenches. Those trenches are filled with oyster beds, and the oysters are so plentiful. We have them for breakfast, we have them for dinner, we have them for supper. And sure enough, he said, "Oh, yes, there are plenty of oysters and very fresh." I said, "Excellent." I would like a bucket of those oysters for my horse. Your horse? Your horse eats oysters, sir? I said, no, not only does he eat them, he loves them. As a matter of fact, he considers himself a bit of a gourmet. So do not shuck those oysters. He likes to shuck them himself. He opens them up, lines them up, and sorts them out. He said, you have a horse that shucks oysters. I said, yes, but he's very particular. He said, well, I have to see that. Out he went with a bucket of oysters, and everyone else followed out to watch the horse shuck oysters. Well, by the time he returned, I was toasting my toes by the fire. He came up to me and he said, I'm sorry, sir, but your horse won't touch the oysters. He just stands there and looks at them. I said, what a shame. He must have had some hurry. Why don't you bring them to me and shuck them, please? And I got my oysters, and I got my seat by the fire. As poor Richard said, a traveler should have a hog's nose, a deer's legs, and a donkey's back. And as I might add, a bucket of oysters.